It all started when I was but a wee lad. I was so interested in dinosaurs, and would pretend any capsule I could find was a dinosaur egg, including a toy Pokeball my friend had. We happened to share a two-apartment house, and thus her apartment was directly below me, meaning I would see her often. I don't quite remember if that toy Pokeball was the only Pokemon-themed merchandise she owned, but I do know that was the moment. The very day I, Midnight Crick, was exposed to Pokemon for the very first time. It started there, but I didn't truly begin my adventure until the day I was presented with a VHS tape one evening. I wasn't really told what it was, only that my stepbrother was giving it to me. It played, and I was presented with these strange creatures. My interest was piqued. This was Pokémon, the first movie featuring Pikachu's vacation. This viewing was the moment. I was transforming slowly into a Pokemon fan. In all seriousness, Pokemon has been one of my favorite franchises to ever breathe. Even when a game isn't well received by fans and critics, I still really enjoy it. I've spent my years playing Pokemon games and stockpiling a large selection of plush toys. I've done so much with this franchise, and now it's time to look back at the points where I had a few questions. Pokemon oddities from all mediums, games, the anime, the TCG, my own personal experiences, and everything else ever at all. I'm going to unleash a torrent of information directly into your thinking sponge. If you have any oddities of your own you'd like to tell me about, I'd love to hear about them. I love reading comments after every upload, even if I don't know how to respond to them. So never think I don't want to read your comment. Back in elementary school, I was an idiot. It was just the way most young children were. The world is so big and unexplored, our minds lacking the knowledge we know today. It can lead to us believing things that don't really make any sense nowadays. One of my favorite examples is the time one of my classmates showed me his Shadow Pikachu card. I was baffled. The thing was overpowered as fuck. I'm sure at least someone knows what I'm talking about. It was certainly fake, but an authentic looking fake. The cardstock was of quality, leading me to believe it had to be real. Of course, now that I know it wasn't, damn. This thing was cool. I wanted one. To no one's surprise, this was the same kid who stole my own cards, including the one that I had written my fucking name on in crayon. His response to me pointing that out, I found it like that. He also stole a Mewtwo card from me that he traded. I bet the Shadow Pikachu card made him do it. Simply seeing the art on this card brings back so many memories, and I'm really curious to know where it came from. Finding out the origins of this card would be cool, but I don't think we ever will. When Pokémon Black and White 2 first came out, I remember actually playing the Japanese version on an emulator before it even came out in the West. My main focus was just exploring the region, as obviously I couldn't understand the dialogue. I used a walk-through walls code to just wander around. Didn't take long before I got bored and stopped. I eventually got myself a copy of Black 2 though, and enjoyed it a lot. Little did I know, there was actually a curious little detail out of bounds that I never found during my personal bootleg boundary break episode. The P2 Laboratory, located on Route 17, held a curious little secret according to a video I saw around that time. The secret in question isn't like a hidden item, it's actually a giant, textureless room. If you go south out of bounds, you'll find it. It's much larger than the lab itself, and it's the only anomaly outside in the void. In fact, it's not really a void at all, it's much more like a large black space with a lab in one corner and the giant room in the other. I originally saw the video featuring this and thought the room was a colorless, textureless copy of the P2 Laboratory. and thus, prior to exploring it myself, I figured it was related to the Genesect event perhaps? Perhaps when triggering the event, you're taken to a different version of the lab stored out of bounds? But that doesn't make any sense. I then went ahead and checked the original game. Sure enough, the White Room is still there. I kept Google searching over and over for this P2 Laboratory Oddity, but never found a goddamn thing about it until the Cutting Room Floor. The Cutting Room Floor is one of my favorite websites to just browse. It has all sorts of information about cut content in your favorite video games. This is why, when Google gave me a result for the Cutting Room Floor after like 600 searches, my heart started to beat faster. Was this it? Was this the answer? Well, it was. Apparently, this weird white void room is actually an early version of the new Vematown map. The tables and waste bins located around the White Room appear to be where the houses and mailboxes would have been. Upon realizing this, my brain exploded. It all came together in that moment, and I realized what was happening. It's so crazy to me that an entire early version of the map is just stored out of bounds on accident. This certainly answered my question, thus this topic is no longer really a mystery. As a side note, when doing this test, I used a cheat to give me every TM so I could use Fly and Surf. As a result, upon finding a TM on the ground, unique text was displayed that I've never seen before. I don't actually know if this can trigger normally, but it's cool that it even exists. Here's a weird one. One day, when I was really young, I came home from school, and my mother had come to visit. I was living with my grandmother at the time. With her was a Game Boy Advance, and a copy of a game I had never seen before, Pokémon Emerald. My curiosity went into overdrive, and I was given the chance to play it. I took the Game Boy Advance, and looked at the unbacklit screen. What I saw, I only saw once in my entire life. It was this odd combination of Slateport City and Mauville City. The Slateport music was playing, while I saw the houses of Mauville, a similar area to the long grassy path that leads from Slateport to Mauville. I made an attempt to recreate what I saw, as you can see on screen right now. I was so infatuated with the game that, when I was told to put it down, I was fairly upset. Luckily, I was eventually given ownership of the game, and thus, all was wonderful once again. This is the same copy of the game where Feebas could appear in Meteor Falls according to the Pokédex's area feature, as mentioned in my very first video. I genuinely wonder if this was just a simple misunderstanding, or if the copy of the game my mother gave me was a ROM hack that had very minor changes. Either way, this memory sticks out in my head, and I wonder if anyone else has had any similar experiences. Here's one that still confuses me no matter how I look at it. Part of being me is randomly deciding to do things in video games you're not fully intended to do, or doing things that seem basically impossible. One of these tasks was beating Pokémon Emerald with only a single Magikarp. Did I do this? Not quite. You see, you can't beat the game with only one Pokémon even if you wanted to, because the game requires you to have at least two in battle due to the required double battle for the Moss Deep City gym leaders. I did most of the game with a single Magikarp, then used another level 5 Magikarp to allow myself entry into the gym battle. From there, it was horrifically difficult, but I did beat the rest of the game with only my Magikarp. Now, what's the big deal with this? Am I just showing off my stupid achievement? Remember the X items? Those funny little capsules that raise a stat in battle? When doing this run, the X items were basically a requirement. If I didn't use them, I wouldn't stand a chance. Which is why when I encountered a trainer in Fort Tree City, with a Tropius capable of two-shotting my Magikarp, I knew I needed to stock up on X special defense items. So I went looking across the region, and no shops, not even the department store, had any. So I looked up where to find them. Oh, that's easy enough. You can't. X Special Defense was introduced a generation later, which makes no sense at all. The special split happened in Gen 2, and this was Gen 3. the X Special attack item was still just called X Special. In Gen 1, this would have raised the special stat, which is both special attack and defense. But ever since Gen 2, it only raised the special attack stat, which means without any special defense items, all hope seemed lost. That was it. The run was over. I couldn't win this required battle unless I had failed my challenge. Then I got 2 crits and 1. It's just so weird that such an oversight for over 2 generations went unnoticed. I'm sure nobody has really paid any mind to it due to how niche these items are prior to their buff in Generation 7, but the moral of the story is, it's simply don't get hit in a standard turn-based RPG. It's just that simple. When Pokémon Rumble Blast first came out, I was so excited. I had seen footage of the original and the commercials, but never got to play it for myself due to not having a Wii at the time. With Rumble Blast's release came me playing it for hours and hours without restraint. I would grind for legendary encounters and try to find every secret ever at all. This led me to the wonderful world of the internet, where I read on a website that you could use codes to obtain special Pokemon. I eagerly entered the codes and most of them worked. Then, I kept looking, and I found a site talking about how you, yes you, could get Shadow Lugia in your copy of Pokémon Rumble Blast. It took some searching, but I actually found the post stating this, and here is your guide to finding Shadow Lugia written in simply sublime English.
These are the steps to getting Shadow Lugia in Pokémon Rumble Blast. All you must do is change the time on your 3DS to midnight. Next, you go to Sunny Seashore. There should be a spiritual laugh in that area. Then you should see a temple with a statue of Lugia getting transformed into its shadow origin. You go in, and there's a portal. Go in there, and you'll be in a phantomous realm. There, you should see a whirlpool filled with skeletons. There, you'll see Shadow Lugia. Wake it, and you'll be forced to battle it. Well, I hope this helps.
I'm actually quite surprised I didn't try this myself. I just instinctively knew it was likely bullshit, even if part of me wanted to believe it was real. I'm genuinely shocked this thing didn't get deleted or removed from the site, and honestly, I'm also pretty happy about that. Without this post still standing, this hoax would have, in itself, been easily considered a hoax or a simple misremembering. Who knows? Maybe there really is a Shadow Lugia waiting to be found. Perhaps we just aren't looking hard enough. I'm a pretty big fan of out-of-bounds locations in video games. Unfortunately, I'm also deathly afraid of video game voids. If I'm forced into one by a glitch in a game I'm playing, I'll typically just turn the game off right there and then before I'm forced to see anything else. Even with my fear of voids, I'll go out of my way to explore out-of-bounds locations in the hopes of finding something weird. What if I told you there are secret lakes in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum? 3 secret lakes that just hide out of view. The thing is though, these lakes aren't lakes for you or I. No, they are lakes for ants. I'm only half joking, as these lakes are just mere puddles out of bounds. You can't reach them normally and they just sit there beyond the player's view in all lakefronts. I don't know in the slightest why they were put there, other than perhaps to signify a lake is nearby. It's even more jarring once you realize the puddle for Lake Acuity uses regular grass tiles, meaning when you view it, it does not reflect the snowy environment at all. Every second you've been alive has all been for this very moment. The reveal of all time. The one, the only, Pokémon Emerald 2. Are you stunned? This image has been a joke among my friends for a while, and upon first seeing this jarring little gem, I realized something odd. I had seen this Rayquaza before. This exact Rayquaza, and its weird appearance. I remember seeing it a long time ago, possibly when I was a lot younger. The thing is, I can't find the original Rayquaza artwork used here. It's clear that Pokémon Emerald Goddamn 2 is a bootleg or a ROM hack, but the game isn't what interests me. It's the art of Rayquaza used. Feels like old TCG artwork, and I really wish I goddamn knew what it was. If anyone even remotely knows what this could have been from, I'd be very happy to find out. Until then, Rayquaza from Pokémon Emerald 2 remains an enigma. Now to end it all off with something simple yet interesting. In Pokémon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, if you evolve your starter before talking to Professor Rowan in his lab for the first time, he'll point this out, saying, well, you've made your Pokémon evolve already. Needless to say, he wasn't expecting you to grind that hard. Now from what I can gather, the game doesn't actually check if your starter evolved, but rather it checks to see if you have any Pokémon that isn't one of the 3 starters. Next, I'd also like to mention Pokémon Black and White. Defeating Bianca in your first battle against her without taking any damage actually elicits a reaction from Charon. It's amazing that you've won without your Pokémons. He says Pokémons? Pokémons, what the fuck? Losing any energy, which is called HP. But you use some of your move's power points, or PP though. These are the only 2 that I'm aware of, though I'm sure there are others. I enjoy when a game can acknowledge that you've done the impossible. There's a scripted loss in the game Monster Racers, where a famous racer is supposed to beat you in a race with a legendary monster. Though if you can somehow win, he will be genuinely surprised and his group of admirers will claim you cheated. I managed to do this via grinding for hours, and I'm really happy there's an actual in-game reaction to this type of outcome. Consider that your bonus entry for today. This was the quickest a video idea has ever popped into my head. It was pretty wild how quickly this video idea just clicked with me and how quickly I was able to find things to talk about for this video. I already had a couple ideas for what the next video would be, but I'm considering like a sort of mixed video where there's no real topic and I just talk about things I can't quite make into a full video. As a side note, the personal video game mysteries video has been quite the curse. Now that I've talked about the victim number 1 image and how hard it is to find its origins, the image will not leave me alone. Especially when traversing my house at night, my mind simply cannot stop asking the question, if that's the head, then what does the rest of the body look like? Also, I recently joined a Discord server that coincidentally had the fucking face as an emote. There is no escaping it, I swear. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. I also hope you can stick around if you did, because I'm still going and nothing can quite seem to stop me at this point. Have a fungus.